Hey, ladies. Welcome to Black Women Making Money. We are talking business on this Small Business Saturday, which is actually Big Business Saturdays because today we're talking about Tyler Perry, who apparently is buying BET. These are the rumors that are out there. I haven't seen anything with him confirming that he's buying BET, but of course, these are the rumors that are swirling around uh, on different networks and Black YouTube, Black Twitter, things like that. As you all are coming in, please hit the like button for your girl. Also, if you're listening to the replay, if you can put replay in the comments, that way YouTube can know you're engaging with this content, that you really like it. And tell me if you all actually watch BET. Do you watch BET on a regular basis? Is there a TV show that you like? I have to admit, I haven't turned on BET in probably over a decade. I only thing I ever hear about are the BET Awards, and I wouldn't dare turn on my TV for that. I figured out long time ago I am no longer BET's target audience, even though in my research for today, I discovered that BET is turning the ship around. Tyler Perry is turning the ship around. And people are now starting to re engage with BET and its content. So, you all let me know if you watch BET. What do you watch on there? I'm going to say hello to everybody here. First of all, Selfish Love is in the building. Rana's in the building. Rana's saying you heard that he bought BET as well. Shar is in the building. Everybody, Shar always reminds me that if you want to be on our email list, bwmakingmoney.com. Every Wednesday, I send out a newsletter with content that I do not put on YouTube. It costs nothing for you to get on the email list. And this coming Wednesday, we are having a session on Alex Hermosi's $100 million offers. If you are in business, you want to be in business, you definitely want to participate in that. But the link to register for that will not be on YouTube. It will only be if you're on my email list. So bwmakingmoney.com. Um, Rana saying no, she does not watch. Shara saying no TV on BET for me. I haven't been watching. I've watched BET since 2000. You're saying I have not watched it since 2005. Yeah, sounds about right. Saying I haven't watched BET since middle school. Yeah, you all are my people. I got rid of cable, have no intentions of going back, which is another thing I'm going to talk about as well, is that yeah, there's BET Plus that they're doing. However, um, TV overall is a dying industry. And there have been conversations about whether this is a good thing that Tyler Perry is doing, whether it's a bad thing, whether Tyler Perry is actually going to let anybody else write content for the shows, if it's going to be Tyler Perry Productions 24/7, all of those things. But, you know, BET, when I was a kid, which was in the 80s, was like the thing within Black households. If you all are as old as I am, we had Ebony Magazine, we had Black Enterprise, we had Essence, we had Jet Magazine, and we had BET. And you couldn't go into a Black house without BET being on and Essence or Ebony being on the coffee table. And over the years, that as they've tried to keep up with with Black society, not the Black society that we follow, but like the mainstream Black society, in my opinion, a lot of that has gone downhill. And Tyler Perry is trying to bring some of that back to BET. This is based on what I am seeing and hearing, and we're actually going to hear from a young lady who's saying now she is actually listening and paying attention to and watching more BET now since Tyler Perry has started writing shows for it. But we're going to talk about this because we've been talking about the wealth transfer that's going to happen, $68 trillion. Tyler Perry is buying BET from Paramount. Paramount is bleeding money. They're selling anything and everything that is not shut nailed down. They are selling Simon and Schuster, which if any of you read books, Simon and Schuster was one of the biggest, most prestigious what do you call it? Book companies. They like edit books and publish books. Publishers, book publishers. They were one of the most prestigious book publishers around. They're trying to sell that. Not only did they sell Tyler Perry BET, they gave him VH1, which I don't know if you all watched VH1 when you were a kid, but VH1 was like old heads would go in order to see like people their age with music videos and things like that. This is when the MTV had young people and VH1 had a slightly older demographic. I haven't seen anything on VH1 lately. I know VH1 had for the longest time their behind the music series, which I really liked, but that's been years since I've seen that. I don't even know if they still have it on. So Ron is saying it was popular in middle school and I watched MTV. Yeah, a lot of us watched MTV. We have enough entertainment, just saying. Absolutely right. Yes, and everybody sign up for the email list, bwmakingmoney.com. Yeah. So let's do a couple of things today. I'm going to show you all some articles. I'm actually going to also put the link in here. And oops, hold on a second. All right, I'm going to put the link in the chat here so you all can come up if you want to say your piece about BET as well. I definitely want to get some feedback from you. I was talking about the $68 trillion wealth transfer. We know that the $68 trillion wealth transfer is happening, and I've been talking about the fact that there are going to be a lot of things for sale: houses, businesses, other types of assets, etc. As the elderly are aging and dying, and the millennials and Gen Zers are starting to get married, have families, etc. And one of the things that I am concerned about with BET, and look, Tyler Perry has more money and more access than I do, so it is what it is. One of the things that I think that this Tyler Perry scenario can teach us is, number one, just because something is nostalgic doesn't mean it's a good business move. Number two is that um, I would be cautious about buying dying businesses. So he's going to get BET and he's going to get BET plus. One of the things I'm going to show today is that BET Plus isn't necessarily going to have a lot of people paying, money in order to watch that content. Yeah, people can watch the content that has ads in it, but you know, streaming, as you ladies know, Netflix makes a ton of money, and yet they're trying to stop people from password sharing and things like that. What what are they going to do with BET Plus? So I just think there's a lot. There's a lot with regards to this. Obviously, Tyler Perry has more money than I do. He knows better with regards to his money. I do admire him for buying BET. I wouldn't have done it if were advising him, but that's what he's doing. The one good thing I will say, and then I'll bring Rose up. The one good thing that I will say is I've heard people say, oh, he should have started his own thing. He should have started his own network. Here's the reason why that is not a good idea. If you knew what it took to actually get your channel on TV screens across the nation, to actually get the advertisers interested in you, etc., it takes a lot to get that up and running. I do think if Tyler Perry were to buy a network, if Tyler Perry wants to run a network, it was smart of him to buy one versus versus starting one. So I do agree with him there. I just, don't know if BET is it. So, Rose, hello.
Hello. Hi, Sheree.
Hi.
Hi. I thank you. First, as always, I must show respect and reverence. Thanks for giving quality content. That's not a common thing on this platform, but you bring really good content. So I must always say thank you for
Thank
that.
you, Rose.
And I have a lot to say on this topic. And I had to even write them down because I don't want to come here and be like, duh. When you started talking about dying that Paramount wants to sell anything that's not stapled down, things that may not be so profitable, I remembered Hill Harper, and there's two ways you could look at this. I was listening to something. Hill Harper talked about how wealth, how when, and this is even good for you when you talk about wealth transference. He said that how wealth got into his family was during the Great Depression. They were not allowing Black people to put their money in banks, so they had to stuff their money in the mattresses, hide it any way they can because they would not let them in the banks. So when there was a lot of problem and they were desperate for cash, they were doing anything to get money because I'm not exactly sure what happened. And he said that this white man sold his father land. He had no choice because he was desperate for cash. And that was how wealth got into Hill Harper's family. So there's different ways. Is it possible that this may be a good thing for Tyler Perry? Or, like you said, which is what I suspected. Is it because it's no longer valuable to them and they're not making much money? And as you said, cable TV, it's really not the thing now. It's more of the streaming services. I get more entertained by YouTube content and even watching movies. So is that truly profitable? So that's one thing that comes to my mind. This now where this can be good is, will Tyler Perry truly be controlling? Because we know that a lot of what we see is optical illusions, not what is really there. Sometimes these people are a face when other people are controlling. Why I'm saying that is he going to put out really quality material? Let me explain what I mean. Look at Hidden Figures. Remember the story about the woman who played a huge role in astronomy and
Mhm.
the rockets being made.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Exactly. That is a fantastic movie. We need movies like that that show Black people um, in sciences, in inventions, in creation. We need shows that show dignified, classy Black women, which there are a lot of, but they choose to ignore those. Will he be allowed to do that? And let me tell you why I wonder, because if he does that, that could be a problem for the controlling people. I was listening to this psychologist, Wilson Amos, and he said that racism is functional, that you need one set, or even capitalism, you need one set of people to be below and another set of people to be on top in order for you to thrive. Can't be an equal playing ground. And so if he puts up really good quality Black families, mothers and fathers staying together, not the usual single mother, things that, like, I mean, I know Cosby is tainted, but if you go into Cosby's body of work, he really did a lot. He really set a lot of good examples as far as his work was for the progressive quality Black family, like you would say, upwardly mobile. Will he put those kind of shows? And if he does, think about, because a lot of times what's stopping people, a lot of our people, is bad examples. All they're telling them is being a rapper and a basketball player. Imagine if you had Black people thinking of, let's make our own YouTube, let's create our own science. Do you know how many kids that would inspire the new generation? And do the powers that be, knowing how powerful television is, will they allow that, sabotage that? And that's what I am thinking. And I'm very happy for. I have no problems with Tyler Perry. I'm very happy for what he's done. I don't even think that when he started, he this was the intention, but he did so well. But Whether BET and the VH1 is something to be good, that remains to be seen. I don't know. And that's what I have to say.
Great, great. So I have a couple of things to add on to what you were saying. So you mentioned the quality content and um, the inspirational content. And the two questions that I had written down is not only will he be allowed, but also will it be profitable? Will it be something that we watch? Because you've also got to first of all, running a TV network is a very expensive thing to do. Someone had mentioned it here about just putting up, I know Selfish Love mentioned it here. She said here, I would honestly produce shows for YouTube. Just producing shows for YouTube would honestly be less stress and probably more profitable for Tyler Perry. The only thing with YouTube is YouTube controls the algorithm. YouTube controls if they push your content or not. Whereas BET, if we all know that, something is coming to BET, then we have a little bit more control over that. But we have a culture, unfortunately, not us, but the greater Black culture that I don't know if they want a lot of uplifting content. We can see it based on the things that get views on YouTube, what kind of content people, are craving and want. Somebody else mentioned slave movies. I'm done amethyst with slave movies as well. I don't watch them anymore either. Um, I I don't even know if him being allowed is going to even be a problem because we don't support, in my opinion, we supported Hidden Figures, I believe. I believe it did very well with regards to money, but I don't know if we support enough of like good quality content these days. And I would say, yeah, for the 45 plus crowd, but we see a lot of them on the social media cutting up as well. So I don't know. Um,
You have a very good point. Sure, I forgot all about that because
mhm,
a friend of mine, we used to talk about this and we would get into debates and I would be telling him, well, we should do this, we should do that. And he said exactly what he said. He said, Rose, how many people want to watch? How many people in our community want to watch quality? And I remember Pam Grier during the Black exploitation era. There was a lot of complaints about the riffraff, sexually perverse movies that they put out, and that the Black community cried, where is the positivity? And she said, well, the following year we put out a positive movie and you all didn't watch it.
mhm.
So you're absolutely correct. I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, even people cry about The Color Purple all the time, but for whatever reason, The Color Purple has been on Broadway. People go see it. It was a movie in the 80s. People went to see it. So it's like they're putting out content that we tend to go to see. I'm not saying you, Rose, I'm just saying in general, if The Color Purple was not making money, then it would not be remade over and over again. So, I want to read some of these comments here. First of all, thank you to Mocha Mommy for the super sticker. I really appreciate you for that. Rena is saying here they are using fire sticks. Yeah, look, people are going to be sharing passwords and everything if the content is good enough. Well, for them, cable TV is coming to an end. It's like buying a newspaper or a magazine. I agree, Mokomami. Um, Mokomami's also saying amen for quality content, and I really appreciate that. I know I'll never get to like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, only because I refuse to do certain things and say certain things and align myself with certain people. So, we're just gonna hang out over here and be a hidden gem. Um, Rana's saying, yeah, NASA was where they were. Yeah. And here's the other thing. First of all, I really appreciated Hidden Figures. I love that movie. But at the end of the day, there were three women who built things for NASA. They weren't three women who built things on their own and put out their own companies. So I'll be interested in seeing the 2023 version. We do have some excellent Black women in technology and things like that. It would be even great if they got a reality show where they're not like fighting each other, but just showing behind the scenes of how they're building their companies and how they're inventing and things like that. Otherwise, we've got Black girls really with hidden figures that were attracted to sciences to then go and be a part of bigger companies or the government. So that's not really ownership either. Dawn to Earth is saying the best Tyler Perry movie was the one he didn't write. Oh my goodness. I think he's only been in like one or two that he didn't write. Tyler Perry does not write Black women in a good light. Yeah, I haven't really I can't even remember the last Tyler Perry movie I watched. I never watched the movie with Taraji P. Henson because I'm like, I don't want to see that, you know. I did enjoy Diary of a Mad Black Woman, the movie. I'll admit that. Um, Tyler Perry can push his own content. Well, he's going to be able to now all over BET. 45 plus is not enough to turn a profit for that channel, which I agree with, Char. I actually went and looked at some of the ratings because really advertisers care about 25 to 55. So he's got to get the young market interested. Um, Not sure if it's the best method, but do you think we should just force our community to watch positive content? No, I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. That's why we say the cape is off over here. There's even a remake of The Color Purple. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was referring to, Rana, is the remake of The Color Purple. They wouldn't keep making it if it weren't making money. So, what I want to do, Rose and everybody, is I'm going to share my screen and I am going to start off with a little commentary here of a young lady who said that now that Tyler Perry has started writing for BET, she is starting to tune in more. Now, you can only take what these people on the screen are saying with a grain of salt because every one of them was pitching themselves to Tyler Perry to come in and audition for a part in one of his TV shows. So they're all sucking up. But I think it's interesting based on what she's saying. So let's listen to this really quickly and then we'll read some articles about this. And just make sure my time is on right. Yep.
My reaction to Tyler Perry when I first heard the news that he wanted to be one of the persons that bid on it was I wasn't surprised. BET now carries a lot of Tyler Perry shows, from All the Queen's Men, which I love All the Queen's Men, to Ruthless, to all of the Medeas being on there. So it wasn't a surprise to me. And he really, really, honestly, let's be real, he put a lot of effort into putting content onto BET and sort of taking our eyes to the channel again because for quite some time BET was running Baby Boy a whole lot. We ain't had nothing much, but that's
That actually is true. They were running a lot of crazy movies on there, and they were doing it for like, what do you call it? Immediate profitability and advertisers versus having real good quality content. And even the BET Awards ended up becoming just, a joke.
beside the point. So I'm happy for Tyler. I'm very happy for Tyler and what he's gonna be able to do if he does purchase it. And also with him gaining VH1 and that as well, which is a huge deal if it does go through him gaining VH1. So I'm happy for him. Mark to the damn DEA. I love you, Tyler. And I'm here too. Pierre ain't the only one that could put in his petition to be in the show. I'm here too.
So, yeah, so all of your Hollywood people are going to praise this because they are looking for jobs. However, I don't know, Rose, do you think she looks 30? She looks about 30 years old.
Yeah, I could say 30 and above. Or she could even, it's, I don't know, so it's hard to pick.
It's hard with Black women. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick. She could be 26.
I
I
was
would
just
say,
trying to say she's in the target demographic of what they're looking for. That's it.
oh, definitely, definitely.
Mhm. Exactly. So, let me show you some of the ratings and things like that, because this is not going to be easy for Tyler Perry to do. I think this is what I want here. This is not going to be easy for Tyler Perry to do, to take it over and to make it a profitable network because Paramount is selling it because BET is not profitable.
Excuse me,
Okay.
I'm sorry for
Uh-huh.
interrupting.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure that's exactly what came to my mind because BET and VH1. I
Mhm.
said, is it because maybe it's not working? So
It's
let's
not.
give it. Yeah.
It's not. Now, what I believe happened is Tyler Perry turned around the Oprah Winfrey Network enough for Oprah Winfrey to be able to sell it and get out of it. Because before Tyler Perry, OWN was not doing well. Then she got Tyler in there. He wrote a bunch of shows and it ended up doing well enough so she was able to get out, sell to Discovery. Then I believe, this is just my spidey senses. BET said, you know what? We need to do the same thing. We are going to go and get Tyler. And Tyler probably from the very beginning thought, you know what? I'm going to get them to like put something in my contract if they ever want to sell to me or something like that. Because Tyler's a smart guy. He's going to want ownership as well. So, um, Amethyst, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Rana, give me a few minutes. I want to read through a couple of these articles and then I'll bring you in. So, anyway, yeah, look, VH1 is like a money pit, BET is a money pit. The only thing BET had going for it was the BET Awards uh, until they started launching some of Tyler Perry's new shows. And it may not be enough to pull them out um, of the losing of money just because TV is such a dying industry. So this was from a couple of weeks ago when they were talking, or sorry, a couple of months ago when they were talking about Byron Allen or Tyler Perry buying it. But there were a couple of things in this article that I thought were important to highlight. So it's saying here that Byron Allen, if you don't know who Byron Allen is, he is the black guy that owns the Weather Channel. And he was also one of the people who, um, along with Puffy, decided to sue the cable companies because of advertiser discrimination. So that's who Byron Allen is. Byron Allen said he wants to buy BET as Paramount Global is looking to sell the asset. He is the second suitor after Tyler Perry, who has also expressed interest. Quote, Byron Allen is interested in buying BET and he will be pursuing the acquisition of the network. Uh, blah, blah, blah. Tyler Perry again is interested. Perry, who has a strong relationship with BET CEO Scott Mills, as well as Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish, has expressed interest to Paramount in owning the asset as his own producing deal with BET is coming to an end. So they probably knew without Tyler Perry, the network would be less valuable than with him, even though BET is still a money pit, right? They're saying here, he, being Tyler Perry, supplies a large portion of the scripted content on BET and BET Plus and is a partner with Paramount on the streaming service launched in 2019. It's early days and given, again, this was a couple of months ago, and given BET's iconic status with Black culture and the Black creative community, it could see interest from other Black high net worth individuals or minority owned institutions. A person familiar with the situation said Paramount would maintain a minority stake as well as commercial agreements with BET for content across its platforms in any deal. So basically, Basically, they are going to be able to still profit off BET without having to deal with the money pit issues. Does everybody see that? Like, they're still going to have their money, sorry, they're still going to have their hand in the pot when it comes to the revenue of BET. So it says here Paramount has been clear about its desire to explore opportunities to raise cash, including an attempt to sell publisher Simon and Schuster. Again, if anybody reads a lot, Simon and Schuster is a huge book publisher. It used to be the place to say you were going to have your book published, and now they are just trying to get rid of it. Its move with BET Media was first reported in the Wall Street Journal. The company declined to comment. They have here the division includes the BET Linear Networks, BET Plus, BET Studios, which was launched in 2021, and VH1, which was moved under BET umbrella last year. So it was acquired by Viacom for $3 billion in 2001, which of course made Bob Johnson and Sheila Johnson billionaires. So, and ladies, here's something else. Paramount was going to sell Simon and Schuster for $2.2 billion, but the deal fell through on regulatory concerns. But it has made clear that's a non-core asset and remains on the block, meaning they were going to get $2 billion, $2.2 billion, Paramount was, and the US government said no. So they're really looking for cash. In recent years, it sold the CBS NYC headquarters known as BlackRock and the website CNET. It declined offers for Showtime, announcing other plans for that asset, namely merging it with Paramount Plus in streaming and linear TV. So basically, what I'm trying to say here with this article is that the parent company is in trouble. They're dumping everything. And the reason they're in trouble is because they have a lot of non performing assets. So, Rana, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hey,
How are you, Cherie?
I am good. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing great.
Go ahead. What do you have to say?
Oh, no, yeah, I was gonna say that when it comes to so I can hear echoes. So when it comes to BET, I wonder who's the target audience because with my generation and Gen Z, we don't watch TV. So basically, if you're gonna watch something like TV, it will be YouTube or Netflix or other social media platforms.
Yeah, so from an advertising point of view, advertisers love 25 to 55. But you are right. You know, I would say 40 and below, they don't really watch TV like that. They're watching YouTube, they're watching other social media. Um, we'll watch Netflix, or you will. I'm above 40. You'll watch Netflix for something, but that is you going to Netflix to watch something specific, right? It's you don't keep Netflix on all day. I mean, for the most part, unless you're watching
No,
a TV show.
yeah, I don't keep Netflix all day. But what most people, most in my generation will be on all day, most of the time, because I have nothing to do, will be like social media, especially TikTok, most of the time.
Yeah, you're right about that. So, which is the reason why I titled this whole thing that he's buying a dying business. And while it is admirable that he's doing it, and people will say, yeah, he's bringing BET back to Black America, he's doing it at a time when the television industry is dying. The cable industry is dying. BET is on cable. Fewer and fewer people every year are signing up for cable, keeping their cable, etc. And then BET may not be like at from what I remember of cable, they have like different packages, right? You have your basic package, which everyone can afford who's going to be getting cable, and then you have like the premium packages. I would think that BET is probably in the premium packages and not the basic package. So, it's just a very interesting I don't know if he's going to be able to make money from this. I don't know. I'll
I would say it's like a,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. I think it's just a hit and miss. But the problem is, if they're trying to target audience like me, then it won't be a good idea for business. If he were to try and create some films on Netflix, then that would be a better business deal or business move than buying BET
I agree, and
because
he was doing things on Netflix as well. I know that he did a special Medea thing for Netflix. I didn't watch it because it looked stupid, but um, I mean, the last couple of Medeas have looked really stupid. So I'm like, you've lost me now. But I thought there was one that he did specifically for Netflix. Netflix would have been a better way to go. Ashley is saying they're tired of baby boy. So, Rose, do you have anything to say before I show this crazy list of what BET content is popular?
Well, I'm just gonna say I concur with what you said about the last. You said the last two Medeas were lousy. That's the thing. Okay, people want to. Again, I don't think this is a good move because people are like, I don't know if it was Mocha Mommy that said it's like newspaper. Who buys newspaper? We're reading it online. So, um, I don't know. This just doesn't seem wise because I even enjoy YouTube content even more. And then let's assume now there was this big resurrection of BET. Is it that quality of material that he's going to be putting out? So, yeah, you acquired it, but if you're putting in the same junk, I don't know.
Well, we will see. I don't want Tyler Perry to lose. Definitely not. I have my concerns. I wouldn't be a watcher anyway. So it's not like they're trying to woo me back, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, you know?
Let me
Um,
just say one real quick thing on that. I don't want Tyler Perry to fail either. I want him to do well. What one thing that I really liked at one point was Tyler Perry was a lot of black actors were getting work that they normally wouldn't get, and not only that, he you would see girls, but for black women because there's so much a hatred for black women in Hollywood. He would put well, sorry if this offends anyone, but he would put what I call real black girls, meaning not Xing out not putting in the racially ambiguous ones and, you know, cursed be the ones who are black. He gave people who normally wouldn't have an opportunity, and I respect him for that. So I don't want him to fail. I want him to do well, but whether this is a good deal, that remains to be seen.
yeah, I mean, I will say he did feature non-racially ambiguous black women. I can definitely appreciate that. Uh, I believe he should have done behind the scenes what he did in front of the scene, in front of the camera. I did hear a video of him saying that the people that were in his writer's room were not putting out the type of quality content that he could put out or not pumping out enough of it or whatever it was. I felt like that would have been a better time to mold certain, up and coming writers, but Anyway, and I wish he in some of the movies had a better budget for the wigs. We heard so many people talk about that. That was the one thing. It's like, okay, Tyler, but can you put more money into the wigs, please? But I think he. There was one movie I saw recently of his where I think he was receiving that feedback. Anyway, so I found this. This is from IMDb, which is like, they keep all the data with regards to entertainment. And this is with Black Entertainment Television, BET sorted by popularity ascending. Um, so you have here Menace to Society. You have Sisters. Understand people are saying Sisters is good. I don't know what it's about. All Eyes on Me. Then you have this Ruthless here. This is supposed to be some new thing. This is scandalous religious cult of powerful sex crazed fanatics. Oh my goodness. Okay, that doesn't sound very good. Baby Boy. So you all seeing a running theme here. The New Edition story, which, okay, let me tell you my New Edition story. I wanted to see this film. But I don't have BET. I refuse to get BET just to see the New Edition story. I literally stalked Amazon. I was willing to pay the $20, $25, even $30 for me to see it streamed on Amazon, and they never did it. And I know if I was somebody who wanted to see it, but I couldn't get access to it without BET, that there were probably other people who would have done the same thing. What's going to happen is, y'all remember the Tina Knowles documentary? Um, it was on Discovery Plus. What's going to happen is people are going to see something that they're going to want to watch. They're going to get it for a month, for that free trial for the month, like I did. I watched like 2 of the 4 of the Tina Knowles documentary. I was like, okay, I get what she's saying now. And I basically canceled before they charged my credit card. I think that's what you're going to get. Um, The Family Business, this is one of his newer things here. Poetic Justice, little Janet Jackson. This First Wives Club is something with Jill Scott and a couple of other people, about 3 divorced wives who share a common past. You got The Game. So you all are able to see that you've got like new stuff in here sprinkled in with a lot of, you know, the crazy old stuff. Hit the Floor here, scantily clad dressed women, um, Real Husbands of Hollywood, Being Mary Jane, etc. So you all get the gist here. This is the most popular content on BET. You've got 2 different avatars of people watching BET. They're trying to turn the ship around. We'll see what happens. They also have here the best current BET shows here. I don't know any of these shows, so if y'all know them, you can let me know. There's All the Queen's Men here. It's saying here, centered around Ava Marcel's character, Madam, the show delves into the ins and outs of running an upscale male exotic dance club. This is the #1 show on BET. I didn't read, I swear I didn't read this before I got on. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't read this before I got on. I didn't know that this was the show. Okay. And then they have Sisters here. Sisters brings to life the story of 4 strong and independent women who are navigating the tumultuous waters of love, work, and friendship. Okay. That sounds okay. Then you got the First Wives Club. Uh, This was adapted from the classic 1996 film, which I really like, the one with Goldie Hawn and Bette Midler. This series has been praised for its wit and humor while simultaneously tackling complex themes of love, friendship, and betrayal. Okay, so that seems okay. And then you have here Tales. BET pulls out all the stops to create an anthology series that intertwines hip hop's greatest hits with captivating narratives. Each episode features, oh, get out of here, move. I don't want to subscribe. There we go. Each episode features a different song as its inspiration while showcasing some of Hollywood's finest talent like Irv Gotti and Boris Kojo. So, yeah, look, this is what's on BET right now. And then the final one is The Oval. The Oval viewers, in Tyler Perry's The Oval, viewers are given a front row seat to the drama and scandal that unfold behind closed doors at the White House. So, this is a political drama here. So, what do you ladies think of the content and the way that it looks like? Put this here, way it looks like things are going.
I don't think it's that entertaining. Like I don't know, it just sounds the same thing almost, so I don't think it's that entertaining for me to watch. That's just my opinion. Exactly, Rose. That's what I say. I don't think it's the same or different. It's just sound the same.
Yeah, I concur. It's the same. It's the same. It's just not. I don't like the content. I don't see anything. That's why I talked about something like Hidden Figures. That was very refreshing to see what we contributed. Can we have something like that? Because yes, it's true that we don't choose quality stuff, and I want to ask you about that, Sheree. But there is still some people who want to see that. Can we have a show of black students who are creating inventions, who came up with some? Can we have a segment of that? For instance, back in the day, when they had MTV and VH1, you didn't see rap, and then when you did have a rap, it was a small segment, I think for an hour, some dumb show called Yo MTV Raps. The rest of it was pop music. But then I guess it started to gain traction, and then before you know it, rap became mainstream. So can we have something better instead of I know, like, you're right, we don't watch that, but for the segment of people who do, or am I just
You're
am I
you're
dreaming?
insane. You're dreaming. You're insane. And the truth is, they don't make TV for us.
No,
They
but
don't.
being that Tyler Perry, African American black, he now owns it. Could one or two shows be put in for that, since he now owns it?
They could. He could put it in. Yes. The reason why I don't think he will is because it doesn't make any money. And again, you have an asset here that he's probably, still going to have to pay a pretty penny for, potentially. He's going to have to potentially raise money from other people. So, no, I honestly, Rose, I understand what you're saying. I don't think you're going to get it. I don't think you're going to get it. And it's
Sherry, can I
sad.
ask Sherry, can I ask a question? I know that we're upwardly mobile, and we save ourselves, because that's the painful reality. I have to save myself. I can't be on this crusade for people who are not interested in it. But do you have any theory on why this is the way, why we don't like the better content? Because there's always this complaint: we're negatively portrayed. They portray us this way, we're that way. We want to see better images. But then when the better images are there, do you have any theory? Or you know what? You know what? Don't even bother. Some questions can't even be figured out. But like you said, it's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own theories, but I don't know outside of I think that a lot of people, when they watch TV like this, they either want to see the glitz and glamorous life that they can never achieve, a la the Real Housewives, which none of those women, except for maybe one or two, but none of them on Atlanta, I don't think, have the kind of money that they're portraying to have. Um, or we want to see people where we can say, at least we're better than they are. Um, so, yeah, I mean, let me show you just a little bit about the money as well. So, this is Paramount's BET Plus. This is the streaming service. They're going to launch on June 25th, and they are going to, that's basically in a week, and they're going to have ad supported plan as well. So they're saying here, Paramount, who still currently owns it, BET Plus will be a subscription streaming service targeted to Black audiences. Um, they have unveiled plans to launch a lower cost ad supported tier. So basically, it won't be free. It'll just be lower cost with ads. So they're going to have $5.99 per month and a $9.99 per month. BET Plus with ads will contain 15 and 30-second ad spots that play before and during program. However, content and video quality will remain the same as the premium tier, blah, blah, blah. So uh, they're saying here that the service touts a library of 2,000 hours of content from media figures like Tyler Perry, Gabrielle Union, Mary J. Blige, and Kevin Hart. The debut of BET Plus Essentials coincides with the date of this year's BET Awards ceremony. The award show, which is broadcast live on BET, highlights Black actors, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so you've got BET Plus coming. It's saying here, I'm not sure who he is, added 80% of BET Plus subscribers watch from a connected TV. So the ad supported plan will help advertisers reach even more Black viewers when they are most engaged. So they're trying to get in front of people. This is one of the big things that I believe. They need as many people watching as possible. So because of that, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get the feel good stories. I think you're going to get the stuff that is trashier, that is going to get eyeballs. But those eyeballs are not going to be the highest return for advertisers. So, the BET audience is not the CNBC audience or even the Fox News audience, if we're being honest. So this is BET Plus as well. This is, just some thoughts with regards to, let's see here, how many people they're expecting. They're expecting about 691,000 visits, and this is per month. They're expecting about 691,000 visits, which isn't a lot. They have a bounce rate of 45%. All bounce rate means is somebody comes, watches a couple of minutes, and then leaves. So half of the people that are coming to the BET Plus website right now are leaving. And again, it hasn't started operating yet, but it'll be interesting to see over time what happens with regards to the engagement and things like that. So, um, yeah, and audience demographics 100% from the United States. So they're not going to get any or very few international people. But this is what I want to show you here, the gender distribution and the age distribution. So they're expecting 57% of people watching to be female, 42% to be male, and they're expecting a lot of people from the 25 to 34. I don't believe this, but that's what this website has here. I'm going to show you one final thing and then I will be done. Just to give you an idea of the differences, I saw somewhere in one of these articles that BET was making about $1 billion a year. Um, Netflix is making $31 billion a year. So you've got $1 billion for BET and 31 billion for Netflix. So that's a huge difference. Huge difference. So Tam is asking what's going on. What's going on, Tam? What's going on is that Tyler Perry's buying BET. That's it. And we're talking about some of the numbers and the fact that TV is a dying business. So, um, and Shar is going to go watch Tam and support. Perfect. All right. So, final comments about this.
When you just
Um,
show me like the stats between how much they make, like Netflix makes 31 billion and then BET makes 31, I mean, sorry, 1 billion. So it basically tells me that most of the younger audience are flocking to Netflix in comparison to BET because unless people around my generation and younger likes to watch mediocrity and not black excellence on the screen, then maybe, and that's like a 40% chance that they will watch BET, but the content is still the same. So it just depends what younger black people like to watch. Do they like to watch mediocrity? And that would be like the reality TV shows and a lot of fighting and stuff. Or do they like to watch black excellence? So that's what I tend to notice.
Well, and I'll say this as well. So Tyler Perry doesn't really produce content for like the 25 to 40-year-old black audience either. So when you mention the reality shows and all of that, that's not him. That's not him. He's not Andy Cohen at Bravo or one of those guys. Um, but yeah, I mean, yes, Netflix has so I'll make another statement about Netflix. Netflix makes infinitely more money than BET, but even Netflix was cramping down on people sharing passwords. They were losing way too much money because of that. And they have a platform that everyone wants to watch, but they've also got these expensive productions with like Stranger Things and I don't know, Orange is the New Black, I know isn't on anymore, but they've got quite a few hit TV shows. They also spent years in the negative building up to that. So it's just gonna be interesting to see what happens with BET. Rose, you have any final comments?
yeah, my final comment, it might be a little outlandish. Um, as I said, there's a lot of stuff that for everything we see on the outside, there's a lot that we don't know behind closed doors. And just what comes to mind is was he it's going to sound kind of like a conspiracy theory, but was he forced to buy it? It's almost like whatever money he made from quote unquote them, he's given it back to them. They've gotten it back. And the reason I'm saying that is that for Tyler Perry to be at the caliber that he is, he had to have a team of people. He had to have accountants and analysts who would have said that this does not make good business sense when you considering the numbers that you just told us, as well as the fact that this is a dying medium and a new medium is out here. So was he forced to buy those things, or it, did he make this purchase on the basis of an ego, like it's black again, and that's not racial pride, and that's all nice, but at the end of the day, this is business, and I just don't see this was not sensible. So what was he thinking? And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll never know the answers to that. Or if we find out the answers to that, it may be years and years from now. It'll be interesting to see what happens. The biggest thing I want us as Black women, upwardly mobile Black women, to think about is if someone is selling something to us, why are they selling it to us? And is it a dying asset or is it a growing asset? I think that's the biggest thing that we can take away from this. There's, I showed you the articles about Paramount bleeding money to the point where they're selling Simon and Schuster, which is a huge book publisher. Um, there's going to be a lot of assets that are going to be available, houses, businesses, things like that. And it is important for us to take a step back, you know, um, number one, not be in nostalgia. Number two, not be anxious for owning stuff, but really to be critical about the things that we are going to buy. But I want us buying. I definitely want us buying. I definitely want us in the game. So, Mr. Shelley is in the building. Hello. And Nicole is here. I'm saying I'm pretty sure it was ego based. Maybe. Could have been ego based, could have been we get to take BET back as it's crashing and burning. Uh So let's see here. Tam has a great channel, Women in Linux. She's on a couple of times a week, I think 3 times a week. She talks about so much with regards to, she's got her Financial Friday show. She's got her tech show. She's very much into tech. So if any of you ladies are looking for a woman who can kind of guide you with regards to the best tech jobs, based on your personality, based on what you want to do. Tam is the woman with regards to that. So definitely connect with her and her show. I'm going to try to have Tam on as well at some point. So she's saying here, I would like to see more tech shows on Black channels. Yeah, I would love that as well. I would love to see us showing more inventions and things like that, you know, but we have to have the audience for that as well. You're saying that was my suspicion. Yeah, she's got the Foolish Finance Friday. That's what it's called. I knew it was like, for me, it's messy money topics. So for her, it's Foolish Finance Friday for Tam. Yeah. Um, so let's see here. Mentor Shelley is saying there may be other factors where the numbers make sense for him to buy BET. Maybe, maybe. I'm not so sure. I think BET and TV itself is dying. And streaming services, I mean, Disney is the only streaming service outside of Netflix that I know of that is like profitable. It's very difficult to make those streaming services profitable. You're welcome, Rana. Hey, J. Antoinette. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Um, so Tam, you're saying so Tam had a rant today on her show, and I asked her what she was ranting about. She says here, um, some of the guys in the audience who kept saying you can't make 6 figures in tech and having depressing thoughts. So she had a rant. I got to go hear it. I want to go hear Tam choose some people out. So I'm going to go listen to the replay of that. Uh, it's really a chance to capture Gen Z audience, the younger folks. Possibly, but they don't watch TV, Tam. They don't watch TV is what we've been saying during this time. And they'll watch a streaming service, but they're watching Netflix. So the question is, will enough Gen Z get BET Plus? And what kind of content does Tyler Perry have to put out for young people to pull their wallet out, pull their credit card out, pay for BET and not password share? I don't know if there are enough of them to do that. Tyler Perry doesn't really write for the Gen Z audience. He doesn't let people in the writer's room. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, come on up, Tam. You can tell us if y'all want part two. We can talk about what do you call it? Let me get you the link, Tam. We can talk about tech. There you go, Tam. No, if Tam is saying that that's what they said, then that's probably what they said. And nope, we don't watch TV. Yeah, so I'm just waiting on Tam to come up. I gave her the StreamYard link. And if any of you ladies have questions about tech, Tam is the person to ask, so you can drop them in the chat. So while we're waiting for Tam, Rose, um, what else are you thinking with regards to content and, not just BET and Tyler Perry, but just anything that's out there?
When you say content, what kinds of content we could put out there?
Yeah, either that or like what kinds of content that would be profitable.
Oh, uh, that's a good. I can think of content. I don't know if it's profitable. I think things on finance, maybe I see a lot of people are interested on finance, what could how they can make their money grow, passive income, things like that. That's the kind of thing I think that would be profitable because I see a lot of people go to that, and then if it's the usual boring relationship stuff, people seem to like that, even though it's the same regurgitated stuff. If you're talking about profit, if it's profit you're going, those are the only two things that come to my mind as far as content on maybe a network.
You brought up a good point. I forgot. Tyler Perry was the featured speaker at Earn Your Leisure Invest Fest this year. I forgot this. And I did hear that he told the two guys from Earn Your Leisure, why isn't this on TV? This should be on BET stream to television, uh, every TV in America. It would be interesting if Tyler Perry, because I think Steve Harvey just did a deal with Earn Your Leisure. It would be interesting if they're going to bring the Earn Your Leisure guys onto BET.
They may bring them on there. That might be the case, but again, it low quality because Earn Your Leisure has been cited for putting on a lot of people who have just shown not to be credible. So yes, you have finance, but is it really credible stuff that will take you anywhere?
And I can agree with that. I do believe that if BET is doing things right, they will have lawyers, and
Exactly.
people like protecting the BET brand, whereas EYL doesn't. If EYL currently has lawyers, they're not protecting the brand like I think Tyler and BET would. But with that, Tamika, hello,
Hello, how you doing?
doing good. How you doing, girl?
Well, I'm all right. I do two shows on Saturday, so um, when I do the two shows on Saturday, I be wound up for all day. So I'm just I'm wound up. So I'm in show mode right now. So I'm here.
Well, we love you being here. So this is the after show, where
Just the
well,
after party.
this is the after party. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your feelings on Tyler Perry. But since I got you here, we also going to talk about this tech thing. We need more Black women in tech as well. So
Oh,
first of all, what do you think about Tyler Perry buying BET? Do you think he can turn it around? Do you think it's going to end up being profitable, or is it going to be a money pit?
no, I think he can turn it around. Not just if okay, well, I tie in tech to this, right? Because if it were me, and just if it were me, I will be going after things like Ice Cube's football team to be streamed on there. That gives him visibility as well too. He's also had some more insights and some more investors on that on as far as his league goes, which now gives especially the youth the actual visual to see that as well too on a broader scale. And also it has a name behind it. Not to say that people don't know who Ice Cube is, and not to say that the younger crowd doesn't know about his football league, but just expanding his league into and having the ability to do other things. Yeah, the big three. Then oh yeah, D say big three is basketball. My bad. And then the other thing too that with Tyler Perry buying this, I do agree that some of the podcasting can come off of YouTube and actually come onto a platform like that. Because here's the other flip side of that: when your content is on YouTube, who owns your content, right? So here's another thing that he's also gaining too. He's also gaining data. And if he was smart, he would be looking at the data and what the data trends are actually telling him, not just about the audience, but in the direction of where the audience wants to take things. That's just me. Yeah, that's how I look at it. The other part that I will also be looking at too is as far as what he can do with that. He's already doing, his shows and so forth and so on, and he wants to be like, um, you know, uh, Oprah. I get it. I get the two pairings there, right? But also he now gets a chance to make those made for movie TVs like the Hallmark brand, like those ones that are playing. I mean, he has those, but I don't think a younger audience is watching that. And maybe we're just gonna, I'm gonna go out on a limb. He'll let somebody in the writers' room to help with those. I'm hoping and praying, and maybe we'll get some real wigs or something like that, and not the ones that
I had mentioned the wigs before. I was like, please put some more money to the wigs.
right. But that's my first initial thought. But into expanding that brand, I didn't do a mad rant earlier today, but on the first show I talked about things that we grew up on, like PBS programming, like the 321 contact, like how to add, how to subtract those things. Like we don't really have, like I haven't, and maybe I'm just disconnected, but I don't really see that content being prevalent anymore, where you have even on BET it was Teen Summit, or
Hmm.
you had you had a way to connect, an older audience of music with a younger or audience, and then even if not even younger, sometimes like a mid-level audience, where everybody understood where things came from. I think there's a chance to do that. But those are my initial thoughts with Tyler Perry. But if he's gonna only do all of Tyler Perry brand and so forth so on, I don't know. That may be a hard thing if he's trying to capture a younger audience and have sustainability after that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough if he has all Tyler Perry. Mentor Shelley saying half the shows on BET are Tyler Perry now, anyways. J. Antoinette is saying, I feel like call-in shows would be popular, but that's a can of worms, may not be network friendly, especially in the Black community. If we are not C-SPAN, so even though a Black politics C-SPAN show would be highly entertaining. Remember, not entertaining, well, edutaining, I should say.
Hmm.
Back in the day with BET, there was Tavis, I believe Tavis Smiley
It was
was
Tavis
on.
Smiley into
Yeah,
the corruption.
yeah, into the
Yeah,
corruption. And then you also had Roland Martin, who was
correct.
on TV1 for a while.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there was this type of content on. There was even BET News. Oh,
Hmm.
it's that super light skinned guy, Ed
Yeah, the
somebody.
light skinned guy. I forget his name, but I know
Yeah, with the hazel eyes.
with the hazel
So
eyes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, it's been done, but then those shows,
Christopher
They weren't
Williams.
getting the ratings. Yeah, yeah, he wasn't Ed something was his
Yeah,
name, but yeah, but
not
he
celebrated.
had
It was
that very
something else.
pretty look to him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, but they weren't getting the ratings. So Mentor Shelley is saying here,
Ed
didn't he?
Gordon. Ed
Ed
Gordon.
Norton, yes, yes, that's him. Didn't EYL get a show on CNN? I don't know.
They did.
Perhaps they did.
I saw them on
Okay.
CNN, but I don't know if it's a show or not or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. So you mentioned the Ice Cube football team. I think that
Basketball. I
is
think it's a
something.
basketball team. I
A
think it's
basketball team.
mm-hmm,
You're right. It's a 3-on-3. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, if he's able to get those streaming rights, or even some of I don't know who has the HBCU football streaming rights, but um, that could possibly be something, with the data trends. He could ultimately end up pulling in Erica Williams and getting some affiliate links out there. And,
He could
you know,
he do good to pull in Boulder, Colorado with Deion Sanders.
Okay, yeah,
To pull
if
the,
but they may
the
already
growth.
have they may already have those rights sold off. I don't know. In the made for TV movies, look, I my TV stays on Hallmark. Like when I turn my TV on, oh, thanks, Rose. Thanks. When I turn my TV on, it's on Hallmark Channel. It's sappy. Every movie is practically the same, but I
Yeah,
don't care. It's like I know what I'm getting, and I'm not getting craziness.
right.
So yeah. So let's talk then a little bit about tech.
Hmm.
So before we start answering questions in here, um, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do in tech, and about your channel and how you're helping people get into tech.
So I give a quick synopsis of my journey of
Okay.
how I got into it.
Hmm.
Long story short, I'm originally from Atlanta. And yes, I did grow up during the Freaknik era. And yes, I did go to Freaknik. I had all my clothes on and it was fine. Um, but
So
with that,
you won't be in the movie. We got it.
now if I was in the movie, I was in the car like girl, we just sitting in traffic. Like, nah, I won't be that it won't be me. But with that being said, it was during the era when I graduated. It was the era when I partied. So I dropped out of. I ended up failing out of school, 1.3 or 1.6 GPA. Went back to school in '98, and graduated with eventually graduating with my degree in computer engineering. But before I had went back to school, I was when I was first started going back to school, I was totally fearful of the computer, and I had a love for a computer as a child, but being away from it for 5 years or so, I was scared of the screensaver. I was scared of the mouse. I just didn't know what those things were. But I made a vow to myself when I went back to school that I would never ever be that afraid of the computer ever again, and you would never ever see me without any type of knowledge when it comes to the computer. I'm gonna know everything. So I made that vow to myself, and I'm eventually became interested in Linux because I had a lab partner. I had got married, moved to Hawaii, and became interested in Linux and through my lab partner. And I've been rolling with Linux ever since 2001. And that's been my career field as a Linux administrator, cloud engineer, DevSecOps engineer. You could put a lot of labels on that. And that's what I teach, and that's what I try to get people into tech from I consider it an infrastructure perspective, because you'll never ever be without data centers. You're never ever going to be without servers. You're never going to be without hard drives. You're never going to be without the cloud. So it is one of those jobs that are just going to be around forever. And and it's also a job for me that I know for a fact that if on my worst day, on my worst night, I can always go back and get a job at a bare minimum of a making 100,000 and not care about it, right? But I can also make way more. So I push people towards looking at tech from that perspective for its infrastructure, and then I frame it this way: If you are able to get into tech where you can make $100,000 for 10 years, that how much is that gross, right? And then if you take that and live below your means, and I'm not even talking about your bonuses, your salary increases. I'm just talking strictly $100,000 for 10 years, and you can make that and make that money work, and then have that money invested. And it's not about time in the market; it's time in the market. Then you can then see yourself being a millionaire in 10 years. Now, on my show and on my channel, I say let's double that, and let's show you how you can make 200,000 in tech, right? And now you make 200,000 and you multiply that by 10 years. Now, what does that money look like? You have your 401k, your HSA, you have your brokerage account. You get into all these little different ways that you can have your money working for you, and also have the company paying you with it while you're in that market as well too. So that's what I talk about on my show. I hope that explained everything.
Yeah, and your channel is Women in Linux, right?
Correct. Correct.
And Shar, if you're still here, would you put that back in the live stream as well, the chat, so everybody can know where to find that? So, yeah, so Jay Antoinette had my first comment with regards to the fact that you're very inspiring because fear can be paralyzing. I think all of us are guilty of being afraid of something. Um, for the past few months, Diamond Dave has been putting a call out for anybody to come and talk with him from a data perspective with regards to the economy or a couple of other topics he had. And nobody was taking him up on it. If anybody knows Diamond Dave, he is he's formidable when it
Mm-hmm,
comes to
hmm.
so I think that people were kind of intimidated. And I was intimidated as well. But I said, you know what? I am going to do it. I'm going to, you know, feel the fear and do it anyway. And we ended up filming, like I prepared, we ended up filming. It ended up being okay. Unfortunately, Dave lost or deleted the recording, so we have to re-record it. But when we actually do the thing that we're afraid of, 99% of the time, we realize it wasn't that bad. And,
Right.
we have to ask ourselves right now, things are so expensive. You have $200,000 that you can make in tech. And that
Hmm.
that won't be the day you get your cert, you make that. It could be, depending on what your
It could
cert
be.
is. Yeah.
It depends on
But
the
even if it
area, right?
yeah, but even if it takes you 5 years to get to 200,000,
Correct.
you would be in such a great position to be able, let's say you're 30 years old today. We're talking to a 30-year-old young lady in the chat.
Hmm.
You could be in such a great position for yourself and your children to know that you can bring in that kind of money, send your kids to private school, take care of them. We're always talking about creating Nepo babies, things like that. And
Hmm.
all of that is on the other side of fear. All of that is on the other side of Erica always says people are concerned about the math, or am I going to understand how to, to code, or is AI going to take away this job from me if I get my cert,
Right.
etc. Um, talk to me a little bit more about your perspective of people being afraid of getting into to tech.
So you want me to replay my mad rant?
Actually, please, yes, because we need to get some people fired up here with regards to if you're not going to get into tech, I always tell the ladies sales is
Hmm.
another great thing you can get into, but get into something that is going to bring you at least 150,000. Medical, there are, RNs and a lot of medical professions you can get into, but we should be aiming high. That's all I want to see us do. But from a tech perspective, yeah, Tam, go into your rant.
So let's flip it. Tell me an area where tech doesn't touch. Tell me
There
when
is none.
there
There's
is
no
none.
area.
So you're so as much as people say I want to get into tech, you're already in it. The difference is just it's just other people making money off of your data. It's other people that securing your data that you freely give away every single day, right? So now the question becomes is, well, how can you get into tech and have a long-standing career or become an entrepreneur or become a freelancer, however you see that. However, you got to start. And what I find when we're talking about this, what I find is people talk to other people that are not going down that road or not even attempting to go down that road. So there's another layer of fear there because those people are like, well, they say that you can do that, but you know they're not gonna pay nobody that look like you to do that, right? We hear that all the time, and so my issue and what my mad rant was about today is how much longer are you gonna sit on the sideline and wait? How much longer are you gonna sit on the sideline and let people keep passing you by, opportunities pass you by, money pass you by? Like and especially for black women, right? Like we can't afford to sit on the sideline. We just we can't afford to not have any money for retirement. We just can't. You know the average in the average for especially for Gen Zers, and I mean not Gen Zers but Gen Xers. I just covered this yesterday. They're saying that Gen Xers don't even have any money saved up right now for retirement. Like we
Yeah, it's true.
don't.
It's true.
like so how do you go from being you know, say let's give her about what is about 45 for Gen Z, for Gen Xers,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
uh and now, right, you let's really think about it. Do you really want to work until you're 72, or do you want to stop at 55 or 65, right? So in truth be told, with good health, God willing, things go okay, you got another, let's say 15 years, maybe 20 years in the game. And so at that point, you should be maximizing your income potential right now, especially right now in the next 5 years. You should be maximizing and making as much money as you can. So that money can have time in the market. So that money can have time to grow. So that money can do the thing that it needs to do is grow and work. So your that company that has that 4K the 401k match at 6%, you should be maxing that out. You should be maxing that out and getting that money working for you. That HSA that you say you're not going to contribute to, you should max that out. And especially if you married, you get a chance to put away 7,300. People, women who are single, you only get a chance to put away 3,850. That comes out to be, I think that the quote was $320 a month, and then if you're married, it's 608 a month.
Hmm.
So for somebody who has time in the market and can put away for 20 years and max that out, and again getting a rate of return anywhere from 7 to 10%. I'm gonna be generous and say seven, right? You could then have it just in your HSA. You could have 100,000, but if you marry, you could have 500,000, right? Now, that's just one source of income to draw down from when you're married, right? Now, let's flip that back over here to your Roth 401k, and you got income matching, well, you got a percentage matching on that. You could be drawing down for that. But wait, there's more, because you're smart. You realize that you need a tax shelter. You need somewhere where you need to have some money. Also, being instead of, I like to call the two tax credits and tax deductions. Tax credits is better, but we'll take tax deductions,
Hmm.
right? So now our brokerage account, right? I don't have to go out and play, you know, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 different stocks. I can just get into an ETF. I talked about this today. Lazy investing. Find your ETF if you want to and just run with that. If you don't want to, I always go with this right here, aristocrats and dividends. They're paying over the last 25 years and 50 years, increasing dividends over the last 25 and 50 years. You can look that list up. You can play with that list and utilize that as your baseline. And you don't have to be in all of those things. You can just be in one or two. How long has Apple been around? How long has Microsoft been around? Clorox, Coca-Cola, McDonald's. These things they've all been around forever. So look and see what you may want to invest in and go look it up. Go literally go on Google Finance, type in the actual ticker, and then look at the max to see what is the percentage that Apple has returned. I think Apple has returned like a I think it was like 72,000% over over its lifetime. So now we're sitting here and we're making this money and we're making this money work for us. And not only on top of that are we making the money work for us, we're also being able to help our family if we needed to and not have to set up a GoFundMe when somebody passes away.
So, ladies, I promise Tam is going to answer questions about tech, but I definitely wanted her to finish her thoughts. Somebody had mentioned about wanting to be a freelancer. I also, Tam
Mm-hmm.
didn't mention the SEP IRAs, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the SEP IRAs, you can put around $66,000 for 2023 in. So, like, I know
Correct.
Tam has a couple of ways that she gets money. I don't know if she has two W-2s or what it is, but if you have a W-2 and you have your own business, even if you're a 1099, but preferably an LLC, you could be stashing away even more money than that in the SEP IRA. So just thinking about that as well. Okay, so then let's kind of get into, we have a young lady
Mm-hmm.
or 45-year-old or whatever, 50-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
because look, we can all get in, right, to
Mm-hmm.
tech.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that she should think about with regards to her skills, and how does she gauge the best career track for her based on her skills? Because a lot of people just come and say, get into cybersecurity, or like you're saying, get into
Mm-hmm.
Linux or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that may not match that young lady's,
Correct.
I'll just, that woman's skill set. So, how do you first of all suggest that people kind of do a self analysis to figure out what career path they should even go?
What I tell people is literally write down all the skills that you have. And then once you write those skills down, rate those skills like 1 to 5. You can say one is being bad and 5 is being good, or vice versa, however you see that. And then once you write those skills down, my best suggestion is to understand, and really you probably should get with someone, a mentor or someone that's in tech, to give you a little bit more insight. But now we want to take your skill sets and match your skill sets with potential jobs. So if you know you have been doing, if you have been working with someone and you've been an executive assistant, this time, you might be good for project management. You might be good for product management, and those two are different. Another one that gets overlooked as well too. A lot of people come from a lawyer background and they transition into tech. They're very good at compliance. They're very good at setting up. Hey, you need to follow these rules, and these rules need to be automated. That's another way. Another one is tech sales, where people go into tech sales, where maybe they end up engaging with the customer, setting up an appointment with the customer to figure out what they need, what their wants are, and then bringing in an actual sales engineer to help maybe design an actual solution for the person, for them to try out and so forth. And another one thing that often gets overlooked is technical writing. Technical writing is always needed. Somebody always needs somebody to make some documentation about something, on how a product works, and so forth. So that's another area of tech that also gets overlooked as well. On the security side, everyone says cybersecurity, but there's so many layers to cybersecurity. right? There's somebody that may do pen testing. There's somebody that may just all they do is ensure that you hit all the check marks. Somebody may be an ISO, which is ISSO, but basically they oversee and make sure that you do hit all the check marks. And maybe you may have to be technical, right? But then there's just so much when we talk about getting into tech that that don't get, I guess, a lot of attention like I would like to think it would. There's no code, low code, where you're not really coding, you're actually dropping pictures in, and the code gets created from the pictures. So that's another aspect of tech based with manufacturing. A lot of the manufacturing uh, companies are looking for people with no code, low code experience to help automate the robots, to help automate the arms, and so forth and so on. So that's just another realm that you can get into, and the government is hiring it on a DoD's perspective, and then local manufacturing companies are looking for people to come in with those skills as well too. And in some cases, those training classes are free. So that's just another realm to get into.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're saying that a lot of the training classes are free because there are a lot of low cost and free um, classes out there. They help you get your certification depending on where you are on the economic spectrum. They really want you to get in to tech. Depending on where you live in the country, they really want you to get in. A lot of community colleges, have opportunities. So the other big thing is don't let money get in the way of you uh, becoming a part of the industry because they are looking for a lot of diversity right now within
Hmm.
not only tech but just corporate America. Period. It's like
Right.
all of a sudden the pendulum has swung to this whole ESG DEI space, and now is the time to say, I'm a Black woman, I'm bold, I'm smart, I have my skills, and get on the train while you can,
Right.
Um, so one of the things that you had mentioned was actually talking with somebody to kind of, get get their feedback as well. And I think that that's an important thing. If I were to get into tech, I honestly would um, sit down with an expert that knows about a wide variety of careers. I would
Hmm.
work with them on my list of what I'm good at, what I want to do, what I'm skilled at, what whether I think that certain aspects of that job is going to be affected by AI positively or negatively, so that I would know how to navigate and ultimately work with them on really a 10-year plan in
Right.
this field. If I'm
Right.
switching fields, what is the 10-year plan and path for me to get to what I feel is the top 10% of the industry?
Correct.
Um, so I want ladies to really kind of think about that because that's the bar that you're trying to set right now. I also would suggest that once you have started working with that person and you get an idea of here are the couple of things that you can do, there are so many podcasts and YouTube channels about every type of tech job that's out there. Immerse yourself in that. And I'm
Mm.
not just talking about the cute little TikTok videos, what I do in a day. Like, no,
Mm,
I'm talking about listening to people who are super successful talk about their path, talk about the social capital that a lot of us lack. Social capital basically just means your network, who in order to move up the corporate ladder with soft skills that they had that you need to have as well, et cetera, et cetera. And the final thing I will say is I know within tech, a lot of people get caught up in the glitz and glam of Facebook and Google and things like that. But some of the best, highest paying tech jobs are in non-tech companies. They're
Hmm.
in your insurance companies, in your banks, in
Yep.
your medical supply companies, et cetera, et cetera. You may think that those are boring jobs, but they tend to pay better than the Facebooks and the Googles. And they
So
tend to be more stable as well. Go ahead, Tam.
so I encourage people to look at every company. Dollar Tree has tech. Rite Aid has tech. I met their cloud engineers. I met some of their technical trainers. They have tech. Walmart has Walmart Labs. Target has their infrastructure as well too, and they have technical trainers and they have technical writers as well too. So you have to look at every company that you see and think that they have tech. Throughout all these layoffs, has anybody ever heard of New York Life laying off?
Nope.
How about Mass Mutual?
Nope.
You haven't heard none of them say anything about a layoff. And guess what? They all have tech. You know why they all have tech? Because they got your data, they got your insurance policy, they got your records from when you took your exam. They have tech everywhere throughout all those insurance companies. So those companies are still hiring. Those companies need people, right? So when we look at these companies, people laugh and scarf at them, but some of those companies, like your JP Chase Morgan, like your Capital Ones, um, have a huge tech department, and they're always hiring, and they're always looking for people from various skill levels. We hadn't even got into blockchain and crypto with some of those companies. I had a young guy that came on to the show to talk about people that understood blockchain and quant development at a fintech company, and the jobs were paying $1 million to start. And I was like, well, how much experience
Whew.
how much experience do you need to have? I had him on the show. For 6 months worth of experience, it was $1 million, and if you were advanced and had 8 months of experience, they were paying 2 million. So how do they come up with that? They come up with that because they pay you a base pay, and then they give you a bonus, and then you make a percentage off of the profit and loss. So you may make 10% or 20% off that profit and loss. But then at the same time, you're spending time you're writing code with Python. You may write code in C++, you may be writing code in Python. That's just one level. That's just one particular job. Well, all I'm simply saying is the job is out there. How do we get more black people into those jobs where most of those people are spending 5 years, 10 years making 1 million, 2 million, and then they retire and create a family office. And now they have their money working for them and they just go on about their business. We're not in that. We're not in that space. So how do we get there?
So, Lake Life, give me a few minutes additional with Tam, and then I'll bring you on. I wanted to show just how much opportunity there is out here with regards to education. So, um, this is a group called Black Women Blockchain Council, bwbc.io. It's run by a girl that I know pretty well, and they have connected with Consensus in order to get Black women into blockchain programming. Y'all, it's $25 in order to take this certified blockchain solution architect course. Like most of these boot camps, or not most, there are a lot of boot camps out there that are thousands of dollars. They are begging Black women to participate in these things, and they're making the cost of entry into these things very minimal for us. And like Tam is saying, depending on your background, for example, shout out to Computer and Coin, who is in the building. Computer and Coin is a registered nurse that moved over to the tech side. So you may have, for the past 10 years, been in education, been in some other aspect of work and industry, you're able to add on some of these tech skills, and all of a sudden you're valuable because of your past decade of industry experience. So don't think just because you haven't been in tech coding for the past 10 years that you're not as valuable as somebody else. You are very valuable. So, Tam, I want to ask you a couple of additional questions before
Sure.
we bring on Lake Life. So, let's say a person has, they figured out a path that they want to go with regards to, hey, I figured out that I want to go in this direction. I've got a 10-year plan. Now they're ready to get their certs, right?
Hmm.
What are some of your suggestions for people with regards to the least expensive, yes, most effective, um, we call it classes that are
Hmm.
out there? Because we don't just want the cheapest class, we want to actually be able to pass the test and
Correct.
know something afterwards as well. So give us some of your experience with regards to certs and, how important they are and all of those things within the industry.
Yeah, I like to work backwards. So I like for the job to pay for the cert. And the reason why I like for the job to pay for the cert is, so one, I'm in the industry and I'm getting experience with not just regular experience, but after I get the certification, I'm actually utilizing that certification. That's one. And two, I get a chance to see who else is using that cert while I'm at work. So instead of me getting the cert and then searching to see who likes the cert, I work backwards and say, okay, I get the job and let them pay for it, and then work and then go back and say, okay, well, who else, who they're partner with, who are they talking to? Let me look up and see who else uses this cert. Let me talk to the people who actually created the cert and set up and say, have a conversation with them to see, well, who they're partnering with that actually are utilizing their actual testing services. For example, there are a lot of people that look for, say, an IBM or a Red Hat or a CompTIA, and they partner with them to retrain their workers. Well, 9 times out of 10, CompTIA or Red Hat or whatever know several other companies that they're working with or that they're partnered with that utilize their certification classes, which means I can use that cert at that location. Right. So I like to work backwards for that. Now, if you don't work backwards from that and you say, hey, I'm gonna get the cert first, I say do your due diligence first before you go out and get the cert. Understand what that cert is who uses that cert. Also understand what companies out there actually identify that cert, and you can actually start when your recruiters and stuff call you, ask them, hey, it's like, hey, I got this certification, I have this, I have that. And that's the other thing too, the power of the certifications, right? The power of the certifications is this, is and the recruiters is this. You could talk to the recruiters because the recruiters don't all work for one company. They work for multiple companies. So that way when you're talking to a recruiter, you can like, I'm going down this path and have that recruiter working for you. And you don't have to do a lot of the work. You can have the recruiter do the work for you. That's their thing. They're getting paid. They're looking to get paid just like you are.
That's interesting. So, when you say get the recruiter to work for us, you mean with regards to guiding us about the right certs that we're going to get and possibly even getting those paid for us?
Well, guiding you towards the right way of saying, hey, I'm working towards these certs here. You are a recruiter, you may be working with multiple companies.
Hmm.
So when that recruiter working with multiple companies, that recruiter is going to know what search those companies are looking for and so forth. So you can work with them. Hold on one second. My mom's
Okay.
calling. Hold on.
All right. Well, while Tam is coming back, Lake Life, welcome.
Oh, Cherie.
Hi.
Hi. Well, there was quite a bit that was discussed. Yes. Um,
For starters, I really, really cannot emphasize how important it is to be really diversified as to who you are in technology. Starting with Tam, what Tam does, the work that she does is actual infrastructure. It is completely application agnostic. Everyone uses Linux. Everyone uses Linux. The world is literally ran on Linux. I cannot stress this enough. I truly, truly cannot. When you log in to online banking, when you log into any of these huge, big applications that doing millions of transactions, they're running on Linux. And then, of course, when it comes to like other technology, Linux is completely agnostic. When, like, for example, I know Tam on her channel, she went to the Red Hat event. Red Hat, uh, this has to do with Linux, this guy named Linus Torvalds. It's a long story, but IBM bought Red Hat. IBM that we all know, International Business Machines bought Red Hat. This is one of the greatest purchases within the past like 20 years. The fact you have IBM, which is a known consulting company, and to everyone in this live chat, if you are in college, I cannot emphasize to go online, IBM, sign up for an internship. They're internships. Like I mentioned before, these internships are completely for students. You have to be enrolled in college. As I said, these internships are paid through a different cost center. So if you're working for a team and you will work with an engineer like Tam, so you would then be an intern on Tam's team. You're not paid from the same budget or cost center as Tam. You're an intern. So you, in essence, there's a lot of, even like I noticed some associate's degrees. So if you're looking to go back to college, community college, if you can look for a program that's just specific to infrastructure, you will learn the Linux operating system. You're going to learn Bash. It is incredibly, incredibly helpful because this will also pivot you into cloud. Cloud, you have, which Tam knows, you have like you provision VMs, like a virtual machine. That's basically like a web page, an instance. In AWS, they call it EC2, an EC2 instance. Red Hat, they basically provision these like VMs, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL. That's like the acronym. They provision these VMs. These VMs are literal virtual servers. Now, I don't want to get into the deep technology, but I bring this all up to you, to everybody on this chat, is that with everything now being virtualized, the technology skill gap has now been reduced. You don't have to be as technical as Tam would have needed to be 20, 10 years ago. Everything has drastically changed. That you can see that with these massive layoffs with Microsoft. The majority of the people who were laid off were people who had been in these big tech companies for over 10 years. You've been there for over 10 years. That's great. We know you know the technology, but there comes a point within everybody's career in technology, and it's really at the 10-year mark, you had to be running projects. Nobody needs you to code. Nobody needs you to program. There is India. And they work directly in the terminal, which Tam is familiar with. They work in the black box. They hard code. The United States is not hard code. You are literally an architect. You are solving the problems. Cybersecurity is 95% problem solving. You don't need to know how to code. That's already been completely automated. With AI, you don't need to know how to code. Again, it's automated. The majority, a lot of the work that an admin like Tam and her peers, all of that is now virtualized and automated. And now they're all now virtually, no, they're now all provisioning like these cloud instances, which is now very different. It's a new environment. But the skills you have as a Linux engineer, if you have a cert, a RHEL cert, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you have that cert, you are working forever. And when Tam said 100,000, she's lowballing it. That's a lowball number. It's really more like 120, 130.
at the
Lake,
least.
Lake Life, don't be out here telling all the secrets.
You gotta let these people know.
No. We're a small community over here. All the
Not
ladies here
fair.
can know the secrets. Yes.
True.
But
So
I do want to say,
at least
want to say
know
two
the truth.
things.
Come on.
Um,
Yeah. She knows
hold on, Lake Life. Hold on, Lake Life. I do want to say two things. I want to interject here. Number one is one of the soft skills that's so important is problem solving.
exactly.
Problem solving skills.
Yes.
That's one thing that we as Black women have to our advantage. And what I'm hearing from Lake Life and Tam is your ability to problem solve in these corporate environments. A lot of people don't, when I tell you a lot of people don't have it, y'all, the bar is low with regards to problem solving. So if you can learn the basics of the technology and bring in your problem solving skills, you can bust through
Actually,
probably that 130.
opposite. Learn problem solving. You can later learn the technology because all of that you will be trained. Like, for example, I noticed someone in the chat said they have a degree in communications. You just graduated from college. So for someone, I'm assuming that, oh, I just graduated from college, you're below the age of 25. So you're 18 to 24. That's fantastic. When you enter tech at that particular age, people look at you differently in a very, very good way because all they want to know is one thing and one thing only, that you can be trained. All the technology itself, they'll train you on that later. But we need you to come in with that ability to train and solve problems and do so in a group setting. Do you know how to elicit questions? Because we can't even answer the problem without at least knowing what the question is. So, someone with that background in communications is such a huge advantage to a team because we don't need you to know how to code. We don't even need you to have even a Red Hat cert because we have people who have that already. We have known engineers. What's lacking right now in tech across the board really is that diverse background, the non-STEM background. Because one thing with non-STEM, you've written a paper. You've written a paper, which is the equivalent to a white paper in business and technology. You actually know how to research, analysis, like actually going back, due diligence. At the very least, you need to know how to query. If you've used Excel, which somebody at 24, I know every Microsoft product you've used it, you already are 10 steps ahead. 10 steps ahead. And Tam, that really is the big gap I've noticed because I'm a millennial. What I've noticed when people older than me, definitely the boomers and Gen X to a degree who will come from non-technology, is that they're not even familiar with like basic office products. I mean, to Gen Z in the chat, I've worked with people who couldn't even type. Like there was a time like you actually went to school to learn how to type. That doesn't
I
exist.
did. I will tell you in the 8th grade, literally, no. It wasn't, I was in high school. It was the 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade. I took typing class. Literally, it was an elective at the time. And this was the mid 90s, early 90s.
Yes, so
Yeah. So there are people who are 50 plus who don't know how to type.
that's not good. That they have to go. But for
Yeah.
Gen Z, if so, what would have been the equivalent to like learning how to type those type of classes? You are now a soft skill would be learning SQL, which is a necessity. You all need to learn how to. That SQL is not coding, that's querying, and you need to learn how to do it because that's straightforward data 101. You have to learn SQL. It's just Excel, but exemplified. And then on top of that, which Tam mentioned, Python. Python is fantastic because it's a lot of like plain language and you can use it for data analysis and for also building UIs. This is like a code, it's coding that really Gen Z should be familiar with. Like if I'm 22, 23 years old, I should be familiar with Python at the very, very least. Just like a millennial, when they graduated, they should have already know like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that type of stuff. That's for millennials. But Gen Z, at the basics, they need to know Python. And they really do need like SQL. You have like that, you need to know. That's the person with the communications degree. That's something I would get started with. So those of you who are non-STEM, that's really my background because I have worked with the TAMs of the world. That's why I'm very familiar with Red Hat. that because these were the projects that I was leading. And I came in using agile skills. I came in as a scrum master, and I was able to move up as the delivery lead. And I really was able to do that because I worked with the admins, people like Tam, and I cleared their backlog. Tamika, I cleared a 4-year backlog in 4 months because I do things
Yeah,
and
and tell the engineers thank you.
well, Tam, they definitely did appreciate it. They definitely did. And I'm like,
So,
we can talk more about this because I think it'll be very helpful because Tam comes from that engineering side. Like Tam at this point is a technologist. That's how I refer to her. Like once you reach a point, you're not. It's like you're like Tam. It's more than just bash. Like I mean, it's more than just that. It's more than you just.
Well, it's always been more than bash for me.
Yeah,
So
and now you're at a point where when you come, it's the projects. It's
no,
big,
it's
high
both.
dollar projects, big
No, it's
solutions.
both for me. So I'll give you like I started out with Cisco networking.
Yeah. If we
Yeah,
can speak about that, Tam, because that again is another cert, the CCNA. If
yeah,
any of these girls got that, again, they're set for life.
yeah.
Like,
So it's
that moves
twofold.
directly into cybersecurity and just networking
Yeah,
overall.
so it's twofold on that. So you can start. There's networking makes the world go round. If
Absolutely.
we don't
That's
have networking,
traffic,
we're not online.
data traffic.
Right. So starting with Cisco networking, there are other vendors, but Cisco is the largest market share that most people go to.
Yes.
But there's Cisco networking, that's Palo Alto, HP, and Dell. They all have their networking gear, but most people tend to go to Cisco. Now, when you start getting into cloud and you start getting into data centers, some people switch over to HP, some people switch over to Palo Alto, Juniper. Those are vendors. And each one of those vendors have their own certification. Just like Cisco, they have their own certification. So, but if you understand the basis of networking, I would say start with Cisco, get an understanding of how network works, how DNS works, what is an IP address, what does it mean when you type in www.google.com? How do you break that down? How does it translate and know what website to go to?
That's actually an interview question, Cherie.
They are.
Yeah,
They are.
that right there, Cherie, is a Google interview question right there. When you enter
interesting, very interesting.
www.google.com, where do you go? Like that's an actual question. And for everyone in the chat, I'm just going to just say this real quickly to help you better understand what Tam is saying. Really study the OSI layer. So listen to what Tam is saying, especially on the replay. Then go look up. First thing, if you want to get into tech and you don't have a background in STEM, you need to understand the OSI layer. It is very, very important. Okay, Tam, I'll be quiet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I want to take a step back here and ask Tam about this because this is important. Rose is saying I'm technically illiterate. This is all new to me, like another language.
Hmm.
So, for somebody like a Rose, where you all are throwing out a lot of acronyms and things like that,
Hmm.
what is the first step or couple of steps that she would even take if she wants to get into tech, but this is all jibbly jib to her?
Right. And this is where I go back to the original conversation of writing down what skills do you have and understanding your skill set. And then literally you need to sit down with someone that can help you translate those skills into what a technical job would be. You know who has this hardest who has this problem the most? It's people transitioning out of the military. They have to sit down with someone and say, okay, well, I was a machinist. And you're like, well, what does that mean? And how does that translate into what your day to day job could be in a company? And so, literally sitting down with someone to make that translation to give you an idea of what possible jobs are. Now, once you figure out and I would say figure out at least three different avenues. And the reason why I say three different avenues, I'm really talking about three different industries. Looking up something and we know what's not going anywhere. We know finance isn't going anywhere. We do realize that things like automation or autonomous cars, that's not going anywhere. And we realize security isn't going anywhere. So looking at your skill set and jobs that are similar in all three of those industries. And the reason why I say that is because you could be working a job as an account manager in fintech, an account manager in the energy space. It could be in the hospitality space. Marriott has tech. Marriott is hiring too, right? So
Pam, they need help as to where they are now.
right, and that's why I say they have to
Like
write down their skill
like
set.
to get started. Like
Yeah, that's why I say they got to write down their skill sets and
right.
then
So
and then
touching
partner
on what
with
you said,
somebody.
Tim, like writing everything down. So when everybody writes everything down, a good way to get started is write how you engage with customers. So every day you go into work, how do you engage with these customers? What do you do every single day? The second thing you should document is how you help the client, number one, the customer solve problems. And number two, how you help your manager, your direct manager, solve problems. Give an example of all three. Write that down. That's how you get started. So, whatever you're doing, whatever job you have, it doesn't matter. Do those three things that I'm telling you, and then continue with what Tam is saying.
And the other piece of this is to going back when we're talking about internships, stop looking for internships and look for apprenticeships. Companies like Home Depot have an apprenticeship program where actually they will take what you already currently have as far as your skill set and train you and pay you to work to get you up to speed to do the work in tech. Home Depot has an apprenticeship program. So it's not really about whether or not you're scared to get in tech, is do you want the opportunity? And so places like Home Depot, have an apprenticeship. Yale has an apprenticeship program. I actually got a couple of people into the Yale apprenticeship program. She didn't have a huge technical background. She ended up getting the job and she worked it for an entire year and a half, and then she rolled out of that into something else. But look for an apprenticeship program where they'll train you. People who work at Home Depot on the floor actually can get into Home Depot's apprenticeship program where they'll train you and roll you over. I believe Delta has an apprenticeship program as well too. So it's not about the internship, it's about the apprenticeship, because
Tam,
those apprenticeships will train you and then roll you over into those technical fields, and you get it. And what's cool about the apprenticeships programs is they don't just put you in one job. They move you around till you figure out which jobs that you're really good at, and then you can work that out for the rest of your career if you wanted to with that particular company.
Lake Life, before you go, hold on, Lake Life, hold on. Rose, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really do appreciate it. And Shar is saying here you can find some free or very low cost community college classes for intro as well. They have classes, free classes for 50 plus. Yes. So go ahead, Lake Life.
I would push back. Of course, yeah, the apprenticeship, and I've seen that, but that's generally for those who are older, and they, because I know, like for example, I know Amazon. You can come into like their fulfillment centers, work there 90 days, and then you can kind of move, branch out. They'll, train you, pay you. That's great, and that is also could be helpful for a student. But I really emphasize internships because my focus a lot is on really now Gen Z and making sure they're in a good place because Gen Z is launching their life. Gen Z is launching their life. And an internship is very helpful because I've seen with Amazon, with AWS, and with Microsoft, you come in, you're a student, and they're particularly going to, especially now, like the solutions architect program, they're really keeping that open for students. And if you are a student and you probably you haven't been working, you're entry level, you don't have any work experience, you have no work history, you are truly entry level. This is a great way to get into a Fortune 500 company. The
Right. but
are
the
good. But those
the
are also good for students. Yes, those are good for students as
yeah,
well.
but the
But they're
conversation
also good
was
for those who are of a particular age bracket and also have a particular work history behind them. Like an
what
internship really is specifically, for the students, the under
what
25.
what is both, right? The apprenticeship program is not for older people, it's really for people who don't have any type of experience. The young lady that I'm talking about is 23.
Yeah.
And she went through the apprentice program at Yale, and now she's making 300,000 after 2.5 years.
I mean,
But
that's great. I just think it's good to give both
right,
because
but
when
what
you're
I was
coming in as an intern, that making sure you have that guaranteed time and they do know you're a student, and it's just going to be in a different category because you are coming in with that college background. I've just seen it because I've just seen it both sides, that when you're coming in as a student and you're being, and that's specifically how you are, that training is a little bit going to be different. I'm not saying it's bad for anyone to start off on the floor, because I've seen that with Amazon. They do that too. But it may not be. It's just depending on where that student is, that there's just both options available. So just, respectfully, that's all.
yeah, and the ones that I'm talking about, you don't start on the floor. They literally walk you into the apprentice program, and you're not working on Home Depot's floor. I'm just saying, if you were working at Home Depot and you wanted to get in tech, that's another way. And to the young lady's question, it was more or less about, hey, I already have my degree, or I do have some technical background. She's not in school. So therefore, she's not going to go through the intern program. She could go through an apprenticeship program as well too, that would allow that person to actually work at a Microsoft, to work at an Amazon or something of that nature, not necessarily work on the floor itself. I'm not talking about working at a fulfillment center. I'm just pointing out that apprenticeships, sponsorships, and internships are three different things. And so, therefore, we need to be aware of those things so we can utilize our skill set and branch out into as many of those different avenues as we can to knock on the door and get in. That's what I'm really pointing out there. Hi, Tam. I
Yeah.
graduated with a bachelor's degree in communications, a field in news. What would be the best career to enter? Actually, you know what people look for on the communication and news. I don't know if you are if you like speaking at conferences, or if you like presenting, but a lot of companies look for people to come in and help promote their product or promote their event. And so one of the big things, like HashiCorp. HashiCorp has a an actual. Some people call it a developer's advocate, but that's not what I'm talking about, because that's really getting into understanding the product and then presenting the product. But I'm more or less talking about, hey, I have an event that's coming up, and we want to be a spokesperson for that event. So there are a lot of companies that have, and I'm not sure of if I don't want to give it the wrong name, because it's not a developer's advocate. It's not an event coordinator or anything of that nature. Yeah, it's more like an evangelist or a community manager. Yeah, that's right, D. They have those particular jobs where the evangelist will go around to, say, a company, or they'll go around to, say, uh, uh, an actual conference, to speak about the product, to present the product, this, that, and another. And when it gets down to the technical details, they may shift you over to someone else. The community managers, they're usually out here working with people in their local areas to spread the word for those things. So that's just another avenue. When you're looking at, I like to call them vendors. Like, I like to call Hashi a vendor, but it's a company. But those companies have what we call community managers as well too. And a lot of the uh, places like the Linux Foundation or places like Splunk, they're looking for people who are community managers to get the word out about their product or the word out about their events. Those are just other avenues that you can get where you're not directly in it in tech, but you're tech adjacent because you know that you've heard of the product, you've seen the product, you can speak to the product, but you just are not hands on the keyboard with the product.
And with that, I'm going to let both of you kind of give some final uh, viewpoints with regards to this topic, but I'm hungry and I'm tired now. So, so it's time for me to kind of wind down my Saturday. But Lake Life, do you have a response for Tamika or anything else you want to say to the ladies as we wrap up today?
I would say, like, if I was starting out early career, like I just graduated from college, and like myself, I'm personally solid liberal arts. I was very, very liberal, I triple majored, and I just have an undergrad. And if I were to start all over again, I would personally, I want to move immediately into W-2. I want to start working immediately in tech. I want to at least start putting some proof on my resume that I have already been engaging in technology. A great way to get started, I really like how both, I think it's Harvard and IBM, they have a number of great channels giving information regarding SQL. And also, IBM has like an IT support cert, which is very, very, it's L1, very basic. It's almost like, I mean, it's kind of borderline call center. It's how it was, back in the day. And it's a really great way to get started because you're hearing people, you have to start solving problems and in providing immediate solution. And you learn those problems you can't solve, you escalate. So you learn, what problems do I solve? What problems do I escalate? How do I follow up? You start, that's a great way to start if you want to move in the direction agile, like we discussed Scrum Master, a product owner, a release engineer. Scrum Master really is, if you want to really get started in tech and you're willing to study, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but you're paid handsomely. These are the people who are making like that 65 plus per hour. Scrum Master is a great way. It's hard, but I would look into it. We can speak more about that particular type of work because I did that, and it really is a good way for those of you who have an education background, communications background, even a theater background, liberal arts background. It's really the job for the non-STEM in IT. You bring an immense amount of value as a Scrum Master, as an Agile practitioner. These are the people who are actually delivering projects. This is like the logistics side of IT. And that's really where tech is now, is moving from point A to point B and keeping the quality of the product, which is the solution. The solution is the product, the service that you're delivering for your client, whether that client be like another engineer or someone external. So I just really want to say that to everyone. If you want to I just think a good way to get started and get started immediately, because there's a lot of contract positions and it's needed, is really to get moving with IT support, because then you at least will be familiar with the terms and then you can start studying those terms. If you're 22, 23, under 24, and you want to make six figures, you can do that within 2-3 years, if not less, in this industry. And this is the God honest truth, and do it on W-2. You do not need to know how to code. You do not need a STEM background in any way, shape, or form. It's not needed in tech right now. Right now are those who know how to architect solutions. And that does generally come from those with the analytical degrees, the communications, even psychology, theater, people who know how to bring together a group, from many to one, and have that solution be automated, be operationalized. That's what's needed right now. And I do believe that's where Black women can truly, truly excel. And I was actually told by a recruiter that there is a want and a need for women in technology, specifically cybersecurity. So I'll leave it at there. Thank
How
you
do
again.
people get in touch with you? Do you have your YouTube channel or?
No, I do nothing on social media. I really only just your channel, to be honest
You
with
you prefer to crush? Okay, because you had said for people to reach out to you,
you.
so,
I just really come to just your channel, to be honest,
okay.
Sherry, right now. So like
Okay.
I definitely I definitely can answer questions. And like I said, I from my point of view, when it comes to Gen Z, if you're going to tell someone, like, yeah, enter IT, enter tech, there's all this great stuff, all this great money, you need to, like, logistics. You start from point A, you're starting at like zero. Let's move you to one. And what is that particular milestone that you need to accomplish to prove that you are done with step one? Like that kind of what I discussed before, Cherie, like having
Mhm.
like a strategy and then acting with tact, like the tactical, breaking down the tasks. Like that's how you move. And that's how you succeed in tech. And like I said, Cam is coming from the engineer background. You can work in this industry where you are supporting the engineers because I always say that, like I make that clear to my team, offshore and onshore. You are the people that are actually configuring the production environment. You're the one doing the actual change. It's my responsibility to ensure that there's proper coordination and that you have everything that you need to successfully complete this change because it's the TAMs that deploy. It's the people like me that do the coordination. And that really is like tech in a nutshell. There are those who actually do configuration, like they are actually deploying a change to the environment, whether it be like correcting a bug, addressing a defect, or adding a new feature, but that's what they do from the technical side. People like us who are non-STEM, we're addressing the process, which is logistics. And that's where the non technical Black woman can truly excel. How can you bring that logistics knowledge to tech? That's what everybody wants because we're moving to cloud, and cloud is just coupled services. There's a lot of risk to cloud, a lot of unknown unknowns. So I'm just going to tie it back to what you initially said when I joined, Cherie, which is the
Mhm.
need for diversity. You
Yes.
you need it's really all hands on deck right now, Cherie. This industry is the wild, wild west. Like these engineers, and Tam, I'm right. They just do whatever they want. Like what are you doing in production? You have to ask these questions because they'll never give you a straight answer. And these engineers just kind of make these configuration changes and they talk amongst themselves. So you have no clue what anyone's doing. The business, the people who have the money, who pay these engineers, who pay for these solutions, there's such a gap because they have no idea what is going on. They're seeing all this money being spent and like where's this going? That's why there's such a need for data. And Tam mentioned this. There's so much data, Cherie, it's incredible. We need people who know how to discern the data and ask questions. That's what the CISO, I work directly under the CISO for the company, and I work top 10. I work top 10. And all I hear is I need people who know how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
All they want to hear. Can you ask the right questions? I'm not asking for you to give me an answer. I just need the question because we can
Just
find
another question.
an answer. So
Yeah.
there
So,
we need to
thank you so much. I mean, you always give such a wealth of information, and I really appreciate you being here. I want to give Tam a few minutes to
Hi,
wrap up as
Sheree. Bye,
well.
Cynthia.
Thank you so much. I do want to say before Tam gives her final words that Lake Life mentioned, the people who do developing and the deploying, as well as the people who kind of organize. And the third group are the salespeople, ladies. So tech sales. There's a lot of opportunity within tech sales as well. So I just want to encourage people with regards to that. Tam, I will let you have the floor, my dear.
No problem. So there's a couple of things to add to that conversation, right? It's not just tech sales; they're trainers. So we also need people to be able to create training material. I'll give you a prime example. Sans.org. If you take one of their classes, pass it at an 85% or higher, their teachers over at sans.org make 12,000 a week. Their teacher assistants make anywhere from 5,000 to 7,500 a week, and they're 1099, right?
Wow.
That's just one area, right? That's just one thing, is being able to teach the material. And so you may study the material and you may not go into working day to day as an engineer. You may not go day to day working as a scrum master. You may just be someone that comes in and just teaches in an organization. So that's another avenue that is also needed. Why did I mention that? Because the Department of Labor has a $500 million worker retraining program where they're wanting people to come in and retrain workers. So imagine if you knew a product very well, such as Excel, whatever the case may be. With maybe no code, low code very well, and you can train. Maybe you can come in and train someone, or get a grant to train a group of people on that. I just want you to know that there's multiple avenues around tech that are adjacent to tech, such as training, such as creating documentation, such as even an agile coach. Another thing, some people come in and they do coaching. That's another avenue to tech, is maybe you do agile coaching. In our case, most people are looking at safe agile as to what that means, but you can literally type in safe agile and then look up the different positions around that. So safe agile, coaching, training, all other avenues into tech. As far as me being an engineer, I'm multifaceted. So I can go and be a scrum master. I can go and work as a product owner. I can go and work as whatever the case may be, if need be. Why? Because a lot of times, and this is the one thing I do want to bring up, is a lot of people look for the big companies. And I would say coming out working at the big companies is cool, and you could get an internship, but you know where you really learn business at, where you really learn people at, where you really learn how people talk to people and how deals get done. If you work at a medium-sized company, and I'm talking about something around, and I mean medium, like anything 1,000 and less, right? And the reason why I say that is because now you get a chance to talk to the CEO every day. Now you get a chance to talk to the CTO every day. You get to understand how they go out and get deals. You get to understand business development. And that's another avenue of tech, is business development. How do we go out and get more customers? Business development is a thing. You can go look up on a DoD side and look up business development as well. You can go look up at any company. They got business development. Every startup has business development. Every company has business development. They got to get customers. They got to get somebody buying the product. They got to keep the lights on, right? So then let's go full back. Let's go over full circle here. And the other thing too that people don't realize, accounting. There are accounting jobs at these companies as well too. So you can work in a tech company and work on the accounting side, right? Then there's also, last but not least, your engineers, and there are different levels to engineering, and there are different type of engineers, from what we call site reliability engineer (SRE) to a platform engineer, where you can look at AWS and consider AWS a platform. You can consider StreamYard a platform. That's a platform where somebody has an account, they log into it, they have their actual permissions inside of that. And last but not least, on the lower end, and if you really want to think about it, and this is just something near and dear to my heart, when you think about the edge, and we talk about edge computing, you have edge devices that you all use every single day. and that's a cell phone. And so every day, that edge device that you have, that tablet that you have, that computer that you have, that TV that you have is an edge device. And it's getting updates every single day. It's getting apps are getting updated as every single day as well too. So when you're looking at tech, think about everything that you use at home. You can email your grocery list to your to from your actual refrigerator. You can set a chime up on your washer and dryer. You can automate the services of washing and drying your clothes. So that's another piece of tech as well too, that doesn't even get looked at, as people have to fix those, what we call those edge devices. So those things are also, again, under the guise of they need to be secure. They also they also are out here in abundance as well too. And last but not least, what I do, as an engineer, Red Hat Linux is in the cloud. Um, it is in the cloud. It is on prem. It is on your laptop. It is on your tablet. It is in your smartwatch. It is in the satellites that we use around the world. So if you Linux is everywhere. It's not going anywhere. I've been doing it now for 22 years, and it just keeps growing. Everything that you see right now as far as StreamYard is probably their platform. Underneath it is probably a Linux OS. And so when you not think you're not using Linux, you're using it every day. You just don't know it. We just put a pretty interface on it, and we sell it back to you even though it's free. So that's my spiel, and that was it for me, Sheree.
I love it. Couple of things here. Mentor Shelley is an HR consultant. She
Hmm.
develops trainings and processes.
Hmm.
How would you suggest she gets started? I know you probably answered, well, you did answer a little bit of it, but
Yeah.
I wanted to acknowledge Mentor Shelley. Everybody's saying stay away from HR. But just the trainings and processes overall, what would you suggest for her?
So that still goes back into agile, scrum, coaching. I see a lot of people don't understand agile in general. So they have a coach come in, and that coach comes in and helps develop the training, helps develop the processes, and so forth, and teaches the actual, maybe the agile person or the scrum master on how to do those things. So that is an actual thing. I would look up coaching. If you develop training and processes, I would look at that. I will also look at as a program manager, not a project manager, but a program manager. I will also look into that, because that's another one. So there's three things. There's product manager. There is program manager, and then there's, if you want to consider agile, and then agile coaching as well too. Scrum master, if you want to look at it from the agile perspective. But
Yeah.
those things are, agile coaching. If you're developing processes and so forth, and if you have procedures and things that work, you can actually go in and help someone develop their processes and their procedures, as well. So I would most definitely look into. It sounds like you're more of a of a coach, and also helping guide people to what they need. And the last thing I want to leave with, Sherry, that I wanted to say this earlier. You are a brand. If you walk into any door, you are the solution. The reason why the job is open is because they need somebody to come solve the problem. You are the solving problem. Be the solution when you walk in the door. That's my hashtag. Um, when I see a position open, it's a problem to me. So that means that they want me to come in. They was waiting on me to be the solution that they needed.
Hmm.
So you are the solution when you walk in the door. Your brand is your hands on the keyboard. Your brand is your name. Your again, that social capital that you were talking about, um, making sure you're providing solutions. That's who you are. That should be carried with you when, and you want to get to the point where when you're not in the room, people still speak your name. If you're not in the room, people know that you're the solution. When you're not in a room, make sure that when people speak your name, they already know that's going to come with a price tag, but that's who we need, right? So you should have people, your friends should know your work ethic, they should know who you are, and they should be able to speak your name when you're not in the room. So that's what I always lead with, and that's how you go. That's how you grow in the industry, and put yourself out there by going to conferences. And I'm not talking about going to conferences where you're just networking and looking cute. I'm talking about literally going to tech conferences where they're actually hiring people,
Mhm.
where they're actually doing interviews on the spot. And
Multicultural.
yep. I'm gonna never forget. I went to the big data conference in San Francisco, and I went up to the job board that was long and tall. It was just jobs for days, and I was just standing there looking. I was writing stuff down. I was taking pictures, and then I turned around. It was five hiring managers behind me. Like, you looking for a job? And I was like, I was just taking pictures to get the information back to my people. Okay, that's great. But are you looking for a job? Because we can go over here and we can interview you right here. You got a resume? Like, they were literally beating down the door like, you need work, we got it.
Well, I will tell you, I went to the Sisters in Sales conference last year. It's tech sales for, they say women of color, but like 80% of it is Black women. And they were literally interviewing people on the spot. They weren't hiring on the spot, but it was basically like the first interview. There were a couple of CEOs that were there, or like C-suite executives, high up people. One of the two of the young ladies from Walmart were like, "You want a job? Just send us your resume, like put it into the system, but then like email us. Here's our email. Tell us so we could get you to the top of the list." I mean, they were ready to hook a
Yeah,
girl up with a
yeah,
job. So yes, they are looking for this diversity. So
yeah.
you can definitely do that. Um, and I know that I've never gone to Afrotech, but I went to another Blackest Tech. I went to Blackest Tech
Oh yeah,
as
I spoke
well,
at
and
Blackest Tech.
yeah, and they definitely have people there as well. So
Yeah,
uh,
I'll be speaking
you.
at that one
Mhm.
this year too.
Yeah, so there are a lot of conferences that are out there. Also, even meetups in your local area. If you can't
Correct.
afford going to the conference, start going to the meetups in your local area.
Can we talk
Um,
about that for a second?
yeah, sure.
When we talk about meetups, attend the meetups whether they're virtual or in person, and here's why. Because a lot of those meetups are sponsored by bigger names. When I say bigger names, they're sponsored by your Accentures, they're sponsored by your Deloittes. And so some of those people who are working, or who are at those meetups actually work at as a hiring manager at Deloitte, or a hiring manager at Accenture, or a hiring manager at whatever company, or they're a team lead and they got space available because somebody is not coming back once they go on maternity leave or paternity leave, and they got a position open, and you've been coming to the event, and they was like, oh, we know you needed work. It's not, it's not the best of work, but it's work. Would you like the job? Or it's paying this. Would you like to get on with X, Y, and Z? So again, the meetups are where you meet people that you normally wouldn't probably meet at the conference sometimes, because they don't like to go to the bigger conferences. And those people are always hiring. I
Mhm.
host my meetup, and I bring on people to my meetup who are hiring in Hawaii, people who are hiring in Australia, people who are hiring in DC, people who are hiring in Atlanta. I bring people onto my meetup because I want people to get the chance to get the exposure to ask the hiring manager direct questions. I don't record it. I put it, some of them I do, but most of it I keep them where it's not recorded, so people can feel free to talk, and ask their questions, and not be shy about, hey, you said you're hiring. I have this many years of experience. Here's where I'm at. Okay. And they were like, well, let's set up a time to talk. Hey, I had it. Okay, well, cool. we could probably use you right now. Let me get my people to get in contact with you and schedule a meeting. And a lot of people have gotten jobs just off of that. But when you're sitting in the corner and you're quiet, nobody knows you're there.
Mhm.
You gotta be your own advocate. You gotta be your own voice. You gotta instill in you like you instill in everyone else, and you instill in all the other kids. But what do you instill in yourself? Where's your positive reinforcement of who you are and you as a person? Put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. Don't whatever people say about you, they're gonna say about you. Let them talk. But when they talk, just make sure they say 200K because it's going to my bank account. That's
That's
it.
right. That's right. So, with that, thank you, Tam, for coming up. I'm going to actually edit this and kind of split it off into its own session so that people can just hear this. I will say, going back to what Tam initially said, and if you can afford it, my suggestion to you would be to sit down with a coach and really talk about your options within technology, thinking about everything that's happening with AI and, um, the other technologies that are forthcoming, both good and not so good in the industries, the types of companies that are out there, things like that, because this is just like a long term investment, just like you buying a house or any other type of long term investment that you're about to do. You're about to invest time and your energy into getting into tech. So, my suggestion, if you can afford it, if I were doing it, I would pay for a qualified person to kind of sit with my skills and work with me to map out a true career path and a career trajectory. Um, Tam, final words before we go?
I appreciate you. We gotta do a serious breakdown of careers in tech,
Yeah.
and also I wanted I put it in the back chat. Accenture just launched a free cybersecurity upskilling program for to fill 1 million entry level jobs, and I
A
put that in
million. Wow.
1 million. And this is not the first time that people are put out there again. There's the way I've been reading the information is this: if everyone got two jobs in tech, there still be 4 million jobs left over.
Hmm.
So you put that in perspective. You think they're not gonna automate some of that stuff? Don't,
They're going to
don't.
automate. They're going to import labor if they need to do
Correct.
that. I
Correct.
don't want to hear about white supremacy. The white man's holding you back. The white man's keeping you down, the foot on you. Like, stop, stop. I mean, I've seen so many programs specifically for Black people and Black women that,
There's no way we shouldn't be millionaires.
there is no reason why. There's none. So we don't play that on this channel anyway. But for the one person that comes stumbles across this and wants to say, things are holding us back. No, they aren't. There are
Yeah.
way too many options and opportunities. So I just want to encourage all of you. I am definitely going to have Tam back to come and break down a lot more of the careers, but the career that you should get, honestly, is the best career for you. And the best career for you is you sitting down right now with somebody who knows the different options and really kind of writing out your path that's going to work for you. So, and then getting access to these resources. So, with that, ladies, your girl, it's 9:13 on a Saturday night. I'm gonna go watch a Hallmark movie and chill and relax, enjoy my Sunday. I'm going to a horse show tomorrow, which should be fun. Um, and I'll be back next week with you ladies. So, Tam, thanks again, my dear.
Oh, it's no problem. I just wanted to make sure that the information gets out there. There again, there's so many different avenues in tech, and you just have to be willing to sit down and sift through it with someone to make sure that you understand what your options are. Again, you don't have to code. Be great if you did know, but you don't have to. But it's also if you don't want to just do other things and you want to be technical, you can be technical. If you want to do both, you can be both, right? The beauty of tech is you can be whatever it is that you want to be, but you're gonna have to put in the work. That's just what it is.
And that's with anything. So first of all, thank you for the $99.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I
You're welcome.
really appreciate you for supporting the channel and bringing all of your knowledge as well. A lot of people know that I am rebuilding right now myself. My boss suggested that I get my mortgage license, and I have determined that, hey, I'm going to get into the top 10% of earners with regards to this. And I have immersed myself when I'm not like on here
Mhm.
talking with the ladies here. I like my 24/7 is like podcasts and scripts and things like that and
Mhm.
strategies within that market. And anything is possible. We can absolutely do anything if we want it bad enough and if we're willing to put in the work, like you said. And I believe that there are always certain skill sets, their technical skill sets as well as soft skills and networks, that if people get them, they can knock,
Oh
the
yeah.
industry,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They could really like progress forward in a way they've never imagined. And that's all I want to encourage people to do. Someone else is saying here, get an accountability partner, which I think is great. Yeah, don't go into your tech journey solo. Yeah, if you need an accountability partner, definitely finding somebody. There are other ladies that are getting into tech as well. So
Yep.
um,
And the last thing I want to end with, you're never too old to get into tech.
mhm.
And we have this hang up about, well, I think I've aged out of tech, and you'll go into it, and you'll start self doubting yourself, and so forth and so on, and then it only takes one yes, and you back in the game. So
Mhm.
you only need one yes to get back in the game. So that's what I'll leave you with.
Yeah. Use your age to your advantage because age is wisdom. So there is a company out there that wants your wisdom. There is a company out there that wants your 20 years of medical um, training or education or, various types of finance, business, etc. Use that to your advantage. Definitely. So all right, Tam. Thank you so much again. I'm going to connect with you on the back end. We got to definitely have you come back and do more of a breakdown of the career options. And I want to talk a lot more about the social networks and associations and networking and how people uh, can be employed for life
Great.
in technology. So we'll definitely come back and talk about those things. Okay.
Cool. Appreciate
All
you.
right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye.